Why do you agree with the FAA?
Well, look, it isn't just the FAA I agree with. There are four groups of people in the United States that know all about this airplane. One is Boeing, one is the FAA, one is the airlines that operate it, and the fourth group is the pilots. And all of those groups, and most persuasively for me, the pilot unions that fly this airplane, have said that in their judgment, there isn't anything wrong with the airplane, and there's no reason, therefore, to ground it. So, for example, I listened to your interview with Ray LaHood, and of course he is right. But all of those things, the things he described, getting all the smartest people about safety, doing all the tests that can be done physically, are all done before the airplane is launched. Now, obviously, the Lion Air crash and the subsequent crash of the Ethiopian airplane have alarmed everybody. They alarm me. The public has grown safe to almost 100% safety in commercial aviation and is entitled to feel that way. But I don't think we ought to get into the habit of jumping to conclusions and grounding fleets of airplanes when there isn't any evidence there's anything wrong with the airplane, and the people who are most informed don't feel that it needs to be grounded.
Bob, are you, just on the mechanics of how this generally works, the boxes were found on Monday, and they're still not sent to a country that can download that data and look at it. Is that unusual?
I think that's very unusual. And I think it's also very unusual that those black boxes haven't been immediately sent to the FAA in this country. So something is afoot here, and it isn't clear to me what's afoot. But clearly, all of those countries that are grounding the airplane are expressing some level of disquiet with respect to the U.S. FAA, and that is very different than what has been universally the case in commercial aviation throughout all the years that I've been associated with it. So I'm not quite sure what that signifies, although I think it's a little disquieting for the United States.
Bob, do you think there's going to be an impact on the airlines that do currently book flights with these planes, Southwest, American Airlines, and business is going to go to a Delta or United that don't have them in their fleet?
Well, I think there's going to be some very small minority of people who have some concern about flying on the airplane. If I was going to fly today, I would get on the airplane without hesitation. If my kids or grandkids were going to get on the airplane, I'd tell them to go. I wouldn't have the slightest concern. But the fact is, there will be, I think, some people who would like to switch away from the airplane, and I assume the airlines will facilitate that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense not to accommodate the fears of particular people who may be extremely phobic about a particular perceived risk. I don't think there's going to be much of that, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, I think the reporting suggests, yeah, you can switch airplanes and change your flight, but the carriers are still going to charge you a fee. I guess from a marketing standpoint, would you be offering to change equipment for a consumer without a fee?
Yeah, I would, but the fact is I'm not running the companies and I don't have all the data, but it just seems to me you ought to make an effort to accommodate anybody that is concerned.
How would you be communicating this? Just in general, if you were still running, let's say, American, which,
now you're down into the mechanics of how you run the place, you run the store day to day. I'm not there anymore, and I don't know the answer to that. But as a generality, I don't think you want to heighten the concern of any customer who says, "Look, I'm worried."
Bob, there's a lot of politics around this right now. I mean, the CEO of Boeing, Dennis Muilenburg, had a call with President Trump. Boeing is one of the top 10 lobbying companies in the USA. It has a lot of powerful, politically connected board members. Do you buy into any of that's what is keeping the FAA away from all of most of the foreign counterpart agencies, I think except for Canada and a few others, in this position?
Sarah, I suppose I'm as cynical as anybody else. But in this particular issue, does the FAA pay attention? Does the government pay attention to Boeing? Of course. Are they prepared to make a judgment about aircraft safety that violates their own instincts? I think not. And at least as far as I'm concerned, the endorsement of the pilots, these are the guys that fly the airplanes. They put their own safety on the line, and they also put their integrity. They know perfectly well that they are putting the safety of all the passengers, all their passengers on the line. So when those guys say, I think the airplane's safe and I'm happy to fly it, I'm persuaded.
Interesting. You mentioned ALPA, the pilots union, Bob, and they actually responded yesterday on Twitter to the president's tweet about whether or not complexity is creating danger in commercial aviation. I wonder what you made of the president's thoughts, and ALPA said, we think the most important safety features on any aircraft are two well-rested, highly trained, and fully qualified pilots.
And I fully agree with ALPA's statement. And I think it's very important that, and indeed throughout the years that I was running the company and in those pilots that I know now, we'll all say it is important to fly the airplane yourself, to have the feel of the airplane, and be prepared to fly it in the event that the technology shows any sign of aberration. And I might say, as I'm sure you guys know, the U.S. airlines that operate this airplane get sort of an immediate data dump after every flight, and I am told that they've seen absolutely no aberrations in any of that data. And I'm sure that contributes as well to the pilot's conviction that the airplane is safe. And